My friends, today we bring you a very serious update from Borno State, and it is a story that affects thousands of lives. Kirawa, a town located right near the Nigeria-Cameroon border, has just been attacked by armed militants. Reports coming in describe a scene of complete chaos. Homes were set on fire, the palace of the district head was destroyed, and even a military post in the area was targeted. The community was thrown into panic, and in a very short period, families were forced to make a decision: stay and face danger, or flee to safety. Over 5,000 residents, including the district head himself, crossed into Cameroon to escape the violence. Before we dive deeper, if you're following this story and you find this breakdown helpful, please hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel. This simple action allows us to continue bringing you real, accurate news in a way that is easy to understand. Now, let's take a closer look at what happened in Kirawa. Eyewitnesses described the attackers coming in large numbers, moving quickly, and striking before anyone could organize a defense. Fires erupted across the town within minutes. Families had to act fast. Some grabbed what little belongings they could carry, while others prioritized their children, loading them into vehicles if available or carrying them on foot. Mothers with infants and toddlers had to navigate through rough, dark terrain just to reach the border safely. The journey was long, exhausting, and frightening. By the time they reached Cameroon, they joined other displaced people who were already seeking safety, creating an immense humanitarian challenge. According to multiple reports, the attackers are linked to Boko Haram. Videos circulating online show them chanting phrases such as "Victory belongs to God" while walking through the town and displaying homes they set ablaze. Whether this is intended as propaganda or intimidation, the reality is that Kirawa has been devastated and the town is now largely empty. This is not an isolated incident. For years, towns in Borno State, particularly those near borders, have faced repeated attacks. Each assault has different motives. Sometimes militants seize food or supplies, sometimes they want to display strength, and sometimes they aim to send a warning to neighboring communities. But in every case, it is innocent civilians who suffer the most. Children are forced to abandon school. Families lose their homes. Farmers cannot access their fields, and hunger quickly follows. Pause for a moment and hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now so you can get every update as the situation unfolds. The humanitarian consequences of this attack are enormous. More than 5,000 people fleeing into Cameroon is a significant number. Many arrive with nothing but the clothes they are wearing. Refugee camps and border communities are already stretched thin, struggling to provide food, clean water, shelter, and medical care. Aid agencies, including the UN, Red Cross, and local NGOs, are working hard, but the need far exceeds the resources available. This shows why verified humanitarian support is so critical, and why ordinary Nigerians and people around the world can help by sharing accurate information and supporting trustworthy organizations on the ground. Let me remind you again, if you are following this story and value this coverage, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep shining a light on these urgent issues. Now, regarding security responses, officials often condemn attacks and promise reinforcements, but locals report that help sometimes arrives late or is insufficient. Communities often feel vulnerable and left on their own. Imagine being in Kirawa that night, hearing gunfire, seeing flames, and running for your family's safety. Would words of reassurance feel enough? That is the real question we must ask as concerned citizens. These attacks are not confined to one town. They ripple out, creating fear in surrounding areas, disrupting trade, halting farming, and making the entire border region unstable. Schools close, children lose years of education, and militants use online videos to spread fear and assert influence. The conflict is not just physical, it is psychological, social, and economic. Rebuilding trust, community resilience, and security is as important as addressing immediate needs. Remember, Hit the like button and subscribe so you can continue following these updates. Even in the midst of terror, the resilience of Borno's people is remarkable. Families support each other, local leaders coordinate escape routes, and communities share resources. But resilience alone cannot address the scale of the problem. Proper shelter, education, healthcare, and long-term rebuilding are essential to prevent suffering from escalating further. Nigerian authorities and international partners must act swiftly and decisively. The influx of refugees also puts pressure on Cameroon. Border towns there already host thousands of Nigerians from previous waves of displacement. Each new group stretches food, water, shelter, and medical services even further. Humanitarian organizations stress that displaced people must always be treated with dignity and protected from further harm. Please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. How can ordinary Nigerians help support families displaced by attacks like this? And don't forget to subscribe to join the conversation and stay updated. To recap so far, Kirawa town was attacked. Homes and the district head's palace were destroyed, and over 5,000 people fled into Cameroon. The attackers recorded themselves chanting, "Victory belongs to God," showing the destructive effects and the propaganda aspect of this attack. Families are now displaced, facing hunger, lack of shelter, and uncertainty, while security forces are still catching up. Looking at the bigger picture, Kirawa's attack is part of a much larger pattern in northeast Nigeria. Many towns in Borno and neighboring states have faced similar attacks over the past several years. Some are smaller raids that barely make national headlines, while others, like Kirawa, are major assaults that displace thousands. Millions of Nigerians have already been forced to leave their homes, either moving to safer towns within the country or crossing borders into Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. This ongoing displacement has created one of the largest humanitarian crises in the region. International aid organizations play a critical role in responding to these emergencies. Agencies such as UNHCR, UNICEF, the Red Cross, and Doctors Without Borders provide essential services, including food distribution, temporary shelter, medical care, and education for children in refugee camps. But here is the challenge. The scale of need is much higher than the resources available. Every time there is a fresh wave of displacement, like the one from Kirawa, the pressure on aid systems intensifies. Funding delays, shortages of supplies, and limited personnel mean families feel the impact immediately: less food, fewer medicines, and limited educational opportunities for children. The psychological impact of these attacks is another major concern. People fleeing violence don't just lose homes. They carry trauma and fear with them. Children witness things they should never have to see, and parents are constantly worried about protecting their families. This long-term stress affects how communities recover and rebuild. That is why humanitarian aid must go beyond food and shelter. Counseling, protection, and support for mental health are equally important. Hit that like button again and subscribe if you haven't done so. Your support allows us to continue reporting stories like these in simple, clear English so that everyone can understand what is happening. Now, let's consider security and regional cooperation. The Northeast crisis is
Allahu Akbar. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Mun gode wa Allah, wannan shine baraki na wani gari na suna shi ba su zoi. Na kira ne Allahu Akbar, Allah ya ba mu nasara kansu. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Mun gode wa Allah. Wannan shine barakin Kirawa, Allah ya ba mu izina kai shiga nan. Wannan mota ne muna konawa. Alhamdulillah.
Daga daya na duar nokin madar baku lar trabla ngadet dem adun koskuna ngatirna tadin kos.
That is why regional initiatives like the Lake Chad Basin Commission and the Multinational Joint Task Force exist to coordinate security efforts and tackle the insurgency collectively. However, cooperation is often complicated by each country's limited resources and internal challenges, which means progress is slow and sometimes inconsistent. The economic impact of attacks like Kirawa cannot be ignored either. When communities are attacked, farming stops, schools close, roads are abandoned, and trade is disrupted. Businesses are forced to shut down, markets remain empty, and development projects are put on hold. The cost of insecurity is not just human suffering. It is also long-term economic stagnation, keeping these regions poorer and more vulnerable to future attacks. We also need to consider how media coverage influences public awareness. Smaller towns that face repeated attacks often receive little national attention, even though the suffering of the residents is just as real. Platforms like this channel aim to bridge that gap, presenting the facts clearly so that Nigerians and the international community understand what is happening. Awareness is the first step toward mobilizing aid, prompting government action, and encouraging community support. So, what do we hope to see going forward? Stronger protection for vulnerable communities is essential. Displaced families need not only emergency assistance, but also the opportunity to rebuild their lives safely. Children should be able to return to school without fear, and international support must be sustained to ensure that the needs of displaced people are met. Now, let me ask you, my viewers, do you think enough is being done to protect families in Northeast Nigeria? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, but keep it solution-focused and respectful. Sharing ideas and supporting verified humanitarian efforts can make a real difference. Before we conclude, let's recap everything clearly. Kirawa town in Borno was attacked by armed militants. Homes, the district head's palace, and a military post were destroyed. Over 5,000 residents fled into Cameroon to escape the violence. The attacker recorded themselves chanting victory, showing both the destructive impact and the propaganda side of the crisis. Families now face hunger, limited shelter, and uncertainty as local security forces are responding, but protection remains a concern. The ripple effects extend to education, local economies, and community stability in the wider region. This attack also reminds us why security and humanitarian support must work hand in hand. Protecting civilians, providing education and healthcare, and helping families rebuild are all critical. The crisis is ongoing, and only a coordinated effort from local authorities, international organizations, and communities can provide lasting solutions. Finally, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. Share this video responsibly so more people understand the situation and can support displaced families in meaningful ways. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive and ensures that voices from places like Kirawa are heard